All right, so outside, remember we talked about the pressure washer hose runs up and over to the boom pole. I actually have a location here for a camera, so that's what that hole is. But I have a 7-foot 2-inch DKP Mosmatic boom pole that feeds a Mosmatic lightweight hose that I'm testing. The general rule for figuring out what size hose you need is to come from the end of the droop of the swivel to the floor plus 3 feet. I had been running it plus 9 feet and dragging the hose around everywhere. So it's much more ergonomic now, the way I have this set up, where this now doesn't drag on the ground, so I can access or reach all the way around the car. These are some cabinets from my dad's garage. These are Sabre silver cabinets is what you're looking at here. So the beauty of a Mosmatic boom pole is just pure bearing. You know, the swivels, the bearings that they make are the best in the world. It's just smooth, clean, very stout, like you don't notice any flex in the pole. It's just a magical experience the way that this works. And what I did was, in order to grab the studs here run this way horizontally, and so I just ended up blocking it. I had to put an extra block there because, well, one, I didn't know they have a drop pole, so they actually sell drops that will allow you to size it however you want. And then secondly, the reason I had to do that was because of my lighting fixtures. They hang down a bit. So we have a Mosmatic DKP, single boom pole, feeds our lightweight hose. This is an 11-foot ceiling, I believe, 11 and a half. I think I have a 14-foot hose into my Mosmatic gun, which I've kind of put on the map. This is the prototype number 1 of the new gun that's coming out. I just approved the final prototype ordering, so I've ordered 5 of each in order to make sure they're assembled properly. There are going to be many, many different ways to buy it. It's probably going to be about 20% more than the current gun. We'll see how it works out, but upgrades like, notice there's virtually no bulk here. I've got a Mosmatic coupler, quick coupler into an integrated plug into this. So in my original version, I had almost 8.5 inches of bulk between putting a swivel, all the quick connect fittings. Now we're down to the way it should be, which is really, really tight structured. Another thing we're doing is we're putting G-type fittings on the outlet so that when you're removing your gun, or when we're installing these, it threads all the way in instead of halfway in like NPT fittings normally do. This isn't the prototype wand. The prototype wand I have back at the garage. The prototype wand is also improved as well with a different structure here, but that's coming probably fall. Anyway, so that's how I have this set up here. Now, the way to adjust the pressure washer is not via the unloader valve or the pressure valve on the pressure washer. It's to leave the pressure washer at full tilt and then just change the size of the nozzle. And so what I have is I have a 6.0 size nozzle on here. So I'm bringing my 2000 PSI down to about 1000, and then I should be improving flow a little bit because of that less pressure that I'm pushing from the pressure washer. I have that sitting in a Mosmatic stainless wand holder. This sucker's been out here for 3 years. This wand holder is responsible for why I have this wand. I added this wand to the cart. I accidentally ordered the right one. There are hundreds of variants of this wand. I accidentally ordered the right one. And so now this wand has become probably one of the most popular pressure washing wands in the car washing world by accident, because I was looking for this specific holder. They also make this that can mount to the ground if you had something that if you needed that. So 7'2" boom pole. If I could do it again, I'd probably add another foot to it. I was nervous about the hose hitting the wall. The only time it becomes an issue is when I have the truck. I don't like to pull the car all the way forward because then the water tends to run toward the closet there where the cabinets are. So what I'm intending to do here in the future is I'm going to do a double boom, and we're going to be doing a Mosmatic drying system. They have this amazing, roughly 1100 CFM of air blade drying system that I'm going to be working on figuring out how to adapt and manipulate better for cars. It's really designed for motorcycles and for production type drying. I'm going to figure out a way to make different hose attachments and things like that for it. We're really going to take that thing to the next level. It's about $3,500, so really expensive. It will only be for places like this wash bay and really select high-end garages, but I'm going to be doing some sort of Z boom, or we'll have multiple booms out here, one for drying, one for regular. I'm also going to be taking and putting on the poles here, I'm going to be putting carpet clips so I can take the carpets out and hang them, and that drying system allows you to basically blow it out perfectly every time. So we'll be doing that out here. These are the poles here that I had to cut, and we had to refinish, and so this has all been refinished because there was some rot out here from the termite damage. I didn't do anything out here other than paint, so we didn't change any of the structure of this other than add the light fixtures. They had one light bulb in the center here. So these are 6-bulb T8 Howard Lighting vapor-proof fixtures. So there's a rubber gasket around, so they're sealed, so all the moisture from washing doesn't affect the lights. It also kind of keeps the bugs out. You can see there's some dirt and bugs that kind of attach to them. I clean them maybe once a year. These have Verilux bulbs, which no longer exist. These are T8 fluorescents. I love these bulbs because they're soft. It's 6,500 Kelvin is the color. So very daylight looking, but it's not a harsh light. I mean, we have 6 fixtures with 6 bulbs, and we have 36 bulbs out here. So we've got 30,000 lumens, and it's not super aggressive. I have another 3 fixtures on the lean-to over there. Another thing I did when we came here, this is something I dreamt up, this is something I've always wanted, was instead of having to get a garden hose out to fill a bucket, I wanted a bucket filler. So I wanted a short stubby hose, and I wanted to have a hose bib. I wanted that hose bib to be at an appropriate height so that I could fit my bucket. So let me go grab a bucket and show you how this thing worked. So the concept here was to put a hose bib, make it stout. I could literally stand on this thing. So I needed to find a hose bib. This is a Pre-A, I don't know what the model number is on this, but Pre-A hose bib, anti-siphon type, high quality, best hose bibs in the world. They keep telling me they're going to allow me to sell them, but they haven't yet. So the hose bib is mounted at 45.5 inches high. That's the center line. So you need to mount it at almost 4 feet high. Then that affords me the ability to put a 24-inch flexible line to go and put in my bucket. And I wanted it to mount halfway down my 6-gallon bucket. This is a very expensive T316 stainless bucket filler, a line that I source and you can do if you want. And it's set up to quick disconnect, so I can take my flex line and remove it if I needed to. I just let it hang here basically 24/7. So 45.5 inches is what I think the right height is. I think 6-gallon buckets are the way to go on a grit guard dolly. And then I still haven't been able to source this, but this is a Dixon valve fire hose nozzle that, again, it's sometimes hard for me to convince these companies to let me sell their stuff. I don't know why, but they tend to battle me on this. So that's my bucket filler setup and how I would suggest it. I do have some additional lights over here on this side. Let me show you this while we're at it, and back the camera up, show you the barn doors. So the way that I close this up is via barn doors. These barn doors were already here. We just painted them and made them look prettier. So one of the issues I have out here that's part of the longer term plan is to break up this concrete and redo this. There are different levels of concrete. I think when they originally built this building, it was 20 feet shorter. So they added another 20 feet onto it, and then they added an extra part to this room. So they made this room double size and made the building double size. And so there's different types of concrete. You can see there's staining from where they had their tractor, and I guess a battery exploded here. But the issue is water tends to sit right there. And so what I'm eventually going to do, we're going to break up this concrete, pour it, and then do a slot drain that runs down the, down the middle of this, probably the entire structure, get water out of here. Because right now what I do is I take a broom and I push it. Once it gets to the middle, then it runs out, no problem. But I do need to redo this. I've gotten a quote. It's about $6,000 to do it, plus another couple of thousand for the drain. So that's a pretty significant project that we'll do someday if I'm here forever. We'll see how it goes. Last couple of things out here. If you'll remember Rat Gate, I had a rat or some sort of mouse or a flying squirrel or something got into my blue GT3 and chewed the wiring harness in multiple places, cost $13,000 to fix, and the car was out for a month and a half. And so what I did is bought this bubble. People ask me all the time, why don't you just enclose this? Why don't you just build walls? I don't want this enclosed. I want it open. I want it to be a wash bay. I don't want it to be a garage. I mentioned earlier in the beginning of the video, I mean, we're talking about a $300,000 garage, and people, I guess I could sell all my cars and then have a garage, but I want to do it when it's right, when the timing's right, when I have the right amount of money, when it feels right, when it fits. So for now, what I'm doing, or what I have done, I haven't had any problems with the BMWs, but the wiring in the Porsches tends to attract rodents. I had actually had the GT3 sitting here covered for about 5 weeks, and then that's when something got in there and chewed it in the winter. But for now, I've had this car capsule showcase that I'm probably gonna get rid of this one and get a new one. I've had it for 2 years now, year and a half, 2 years. This is a $1,500, I forget which size, I think this is the medium size. But inside of this thing, there's a computer fan. The computer fan circulates air. Air escapes via the zippers. So what I simply do is I unzip here. I unzip this part, and I back the car out and pull it in. It takes 2 seconds. It's really a nice setup. This is not designed to be outside, and you can see all the pollen. In Florida, we just have a funk that builds up. So every 6 months, 6 or 7 months, I usually pull this over into the wash bay area and clean it with some Dawn. But it's time to do that. But this one, I'm probably going to just get a new one and replace it. In Florida, we get this kind of funk that builds up on stuff. It's like a mildew type and pollen and stuff that kind of makes everything funky that you have to kind of refinish at times. So let's take a walk around and show you what the other side of this looks like. So here's an example of the Florida funk. I mean, this is the power cord, and you can see it just builds up some nasty. You can see all the funk that builds, and so I have to clean this periodically. Inside of it stays really nice, circulated and clean. There's basically like an air mattress pressure switch that fills up the columns when needed. And so if the pressure drops to a certain amount, it turns on. And I do have, this is where I keep my ladder, I do have an Ely garden hose with a 100-foot version of my original hose. I never ever use this thing, but I have it out here in case I need. I have a 100-foot 3/4 inch hose. Don't do 3/4 inch hoses on your hose reel. That doesn't make any sense. Do 5/8. You can fit a longer hose and it's not as heavy. This hose is really, really heavy and hard to deal with. But this is a Ely garden hose reels that I mounted out here and use never, but it's here if I needed it. So the last thing to talk about out here in the wash bay, what I needed to do was I needed to put gutters in, which from the pollen season just ended, so I have to get up here and blow this off a couple of times because I have a gutter guard but I put gutters in because I found that, you know, water was falling on the sidewalk and running into the wash bay. So when we first moved here, they had like a real goofy, like a flagstone kind of laid down sidewalk. And so I tore that out and we did a nice little winding sidewalk here. I added gutters to the building to keep it from becoming an issue with water getting in here when it rains. And so I'm free to come out here. A torrential downpour. Shoot, I've been out here in a hurricane demodifying my F80 M3 before. So it's really nice to have the extra space to be able to come in and wash whenever the heck I want, which is magical. I've got another Prie hose bib on the side here, which I use periodically. And then the way that we get internet out here, rather than having a separate, you know, multiple $100 a month service, I did have Comcast run service out here in case I needed to, but it would have to be a different service, a different cable modem. So what we did is I have a Ubiquiti Nano Beam. So the beams, what is this, about 200 feet that runs from one building to the next. So we hardwired my home. So I have Cat6 wire running from the main, you know, a modem into a network switch, and then a network switch feeds this Nano Beam. I think the throughput on this is like 500, 600 megabits per second, something like that. So that's the way that we have the internet set up to come out here and not be a problem with, you know, distance. So I have full, you know, whatever speed we got out here. So works pretty well. So that's an update tour of my dedicated wash bay, something that I had envisioned having since I was a kid, having some sort of way to wash in the, like right now, it's in noon on, or 11 o'clock in the morning, the sun is out, and I've got trees everywhere, and it could rain, it could be sunny, it really doesn't matter. I don't have to get up at 5 a.m. to try to beat the sun or wash it late at night and bother my neighbors. I can blast music, I can do whatever needs to be done to the car out here. I've done full paint corrections out here as well, but it's really a great place to be. So hope you enjoyed this video. Hope you understand the methodology behind all this. I wanted to add some clarity to why I chose what I chose, kind of update you on what I'm planning to change in the future, some of the mistakes I've made, some of the things that are good, and of course, if you have any questions or need any help with designing something like this yourself, I'm always happy to share. And now I'm able to make a living providing people solutions to build something like this yourself, whether it's in a garage or it's a separate pole barn or something like this. But next up at some point will be to build my garage, which will go out back corner of the property. So thanks for watching this one. Thanks for taking the tour. Hope this was helpful, and I guess I'll catch you on the next one. As always, stay tuned for more crazy. I got plenty of it. Thanks for watching.